Hey guys, welcome back to Twisted Nightmare Gaming. This is Twisted here with my good friend Andrew Sellers of Team No Invite.
And I'm the Llama Dragon folder.
He's our Llama Dragon of the team. That's just his nickname that he chose. Today we're here to profile his ARG top 4 profile with Shadow Paladins. Anything you'd like to say before we get started?
Well, before we get started, I just want to say I feel honored for being on this team. I'm very proud of myself for topping. I'm proud of myself for upgrading the rarity on this clan since Shadows are my number 1. And it just feels awesome getting to do this kind of stuff.
Alright. Congrats on your top 4. Congrats on getting 3rd place. Let's go and get your deck profile, shall we?
And congrats on you for getting 6th.
Thank you.
So to start off, I run full belt for my starter just like everyone else. Next up for triggers, I run 4 heals, 8 crit, and your draw PGs. I used to run 6 crit, 6 draw in this deck, but I decided to put it back to 8 crit because I draw enough with this deck already and I still get to guard really heavy attacks with the cards I have. And next up for grade 1s, I run 4 Black Sage Charon. Now I know most people run this card at 2 or 3, but the reason I run her at 4 is because she's there to have as a free countercharger when you get the chance to call her from hand or from deck. And I'll explain how you get to call her when I start showing my grade 2s. Next up, I run 4 Skull Witch Nemain. She's mandatory at 4 because just by tapping her, you can call a unit with 5k power from your deck. It can be something like Blackwing Swordbreaker or a trigger. It just depends on how many copies of those cards you have in your deck. And that's why I run Nemain at 4. Next up, I run 1, and just 1 Blackwing Swordbreaker. I plan on adding 1 more copy of the card to my deck, but I'll just keep her at 2 once I add the second one. I like running her at less than 3 because I don't want to deck out with this card, and you'll see more of why in a second. Next up for grade 3s, I run, now prepare to be surprised by my neat little tech choice for this deck. 3 Blaster Javelin. Eventually I'm going to take out one of these guys for another Swordbreaker, but the reason I run him at 2, well currently at 3, but the reason I'm going to run him at 2 is because he gets you another draw and becomes an 11k instead of a 10k from drawing. I personally find this card to be just as good as Blackwing Swordbreaker after seeing what he could do in action. And yeah, he's really good. Next up, and finally for grade 1s, I run 2 copies of Conor. Conor is a great card because literally just by soul blasting I can choose one of my rear guards and send it to the Guardian Circle. And if it ends up being a 15k, it'll be easier to stop my opponent's attacks with this card. And I'd say just run him at 2 because it's good enough at 2. And now for the grade 2s. First up, my avatar. 4 copies of Blaster Duck. I play him at 4 because if you have him as your vanguard and your opponent has no rear guards at all you have to do is just stitch 1 card and you get a twin trap. And with his skill, I can counterblast 1 to retire my opponent's rear guards. So he's definitely really good. Next up, I run 4 copies of Maka. Maka is really good at this particular number because all I have to do is counterblast 1, and I can superior call a grade 1 from my hand to draw a card. And if I end up calling Charon from her skill, I can literally get a free draw without much of a cost at all. Or any cost for that matter. So yeah. Next up, I run 2 Darkbond Trumpeter. Most people run her at 3 from what I can see, but I run her at 2 because I've tried out a different build with 3 different Darkbond Trumpeters, and I think she's better at 2. She's really good because first she gets +3 from calling the unit you want to call, and she can also get another +3 from her own skill. So yeah, she's just good as a 2-of. Finally, for grade 2s, I run 1 copy of Tragic Knight Cathbat. I run 1 copy of this card specifically because it's really good for those situations where your opponent has no rear guards or not a lot of rear guards. And whenever he attacks, he swings for really big numbers. So, yeah, that is it for the grade 2s. And now for the grade 3s. Mandatory 4 Phantom Blaster Dragon. I run him at this particular number because it's Phantom Blaster. Like, you get a board wipe for not much of a cost from his skill, and if your opponent doesn't have any rear guards, you can Soul Blast a grade 3 to inflict a damage to them just as long as they're at less than 5. And he's also there to help fill up your soul for Gust Blaster Dragon. And next up, 3 copies of my shiny SVR Gust Blaster. I know most people run them at 4, but I like running them at 3 because it's good enough at 3 in my opinion. And Phantom Blaster is surprisingly better than the card in some situations. Finally, 1 Dark Mage Bakar because he's amazing as a rear guard. All you have to do is Soul Blast 1, call the top card of your deck, and his skill basically makes it easier for you to feed rear guards to your Gust Blaster or Phantom Blaster. And yeah, he's just amazing as a rear guard. And now, I'm going to explain some neat little combos for this deck. So, my first neat little combo is having Phantom Blaster as my Vanguard, and having out Maka, let's see, Cathbad, Main, while she's rested, Charon, and Swordbreaker. This is one of my favorite combos in this deck because regardless of whether you get Phantom Blaster out early or not, you can just have him sacrifice 3 rear guards of anything that aren't units from this particular board because it's just a really good combo to pull off because you still get to have a lot of cards in hand from using the Maka Chair and Wombo combo, and you get to swing with Cathbad boosted by Swordbreaker from calling her with Nemain from the deck for a really high number, while your opponent doesn't have any rear guards and while I have quite a bit. And now for another combo that I've picked up from playing this deck. And let's see. I'm gonna keep him in the soul for Gust Blaster. Another one of my favorite combos in this deck is 1 Gust Blaster with with 2 Maka, 2 Charon, and 1 Gust Blaster. The whole reason for this combo is so you can have a lot of cards in hand, and you can have these guys swing for high numbers to make it hard for the opponent, the guard against it. And finally, one last combo that I've come up with this deck. I'm gonna put Maka back. The Gust Blaster, Dark Mage, draw deck. Now, I also like this combo because before you use tap that skill, you can use Marin, Maka, the superior called Charon from your hand, to draw a card and get a counter charge after using Maka's Counterblast. And I like the Car and Javelin combo quite a bit as well because if you end up calling Javelin, you can Counterblast 1 to draw a card and give him slightly higher power than Blackwing Swordbreaker to make it hard against the opponent. And the reason Gust Blaster's up here for this particular board is because you can attack with Car first, then attack with Gust Blaster, boosted by anybody. I just like having Charon up here because she's really the main because she's just really good to have behind your Vanguard. And with his skill, you can sacrifice these 2 to draw a card and not lose anything from using that card's skill. And those are the consistent combos that I've come up with for this deck if you want to try these combos out for yourself someday. And that is all I've come up with for my Shadow deck.
Alright, Andrew. Thank you for that.
Of course.
I actually really appreciate you putting out the combos. I wasn't even going to ask about it. I'm glad you did that. That helps me out a little bit as well because, as you know, I'm currently owning Shadow Paladins.
Yeah. Anything for a good pal.
But here we have it. Thank you for doing this for us. We really appreciate it. And I hope you continue to help put Team Nolan on the map. This has been Twisted with Twisted Nightmare Gaming and our Llama Dragon. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Have a splendid day.